On today's video, I have a crazy gold prospecting adventure for you. It took 2 years and over $4,000. This all started with a friend who gave me a map to a lost gold vein. I found it, we prospected it, and I was crazy enough to rent a helicopter and fly some ore off the mountain, get it processed down, and pour gold bars. Let's see if I strike it rich or if I break my pick.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason with Mount Baker Mining and Metals. And on today's video, we're going on a little prospecting treasure hunting adventure. I got a tip from a friend that there's kind of a lost mine up here. He marked it for me on a map. And I couldn't find it on any of the USGS maps or anything. But he said that if I can get to where the vein outcrop is, it's pretty rich. And he gave me a few tips on what to look for. So right now we're on our way up, and there's not really a trail to follow. I'm just kind of bushwhacking my way up through, this stuff behind me. But one of the first things I'm going to look for is some float. There's supposed to be kind of a big talus slope underneath, and he said that if you can start finding quartz float on the talus, then you're probably getting in the right direction. It's just cliffy, steep, rocky crap. I've taken a few different false trails, I guess, where you go up and you get cliffed out, and it's just really tough going. But I haven't found any float yet. We're getting pretty close to where this place is supposed to be. I don't know. The tenacity of these old guys. I mean, there's no trails, there's no indication of anything's up here, and these old timers were just out here bushwhacking through the wilderness, hoping to find some gold. And I even have a map. I mean, I kind of know, I know where I'm supposed to go, and I'm still having trouble finding it. So, yeah, it's just these guys were tough. Made it up into this little clearing, and there's a little stream running through here. But let's see if I can get this. Look what I found. See that right there? That is a nice chunk of quartz float. Okay, this is what's exciting. This is what the old guys were looking for. This is, like I said, a piece of quartz float. And float is a piece of the vein or the outcrop that is broken off and rolled down the hill. And this is what the old guys would follow up the hill to the mother lode, essentially, where the vein outcrops and is still in the rock. I don't see anything really fantastic in this one, but that is certainly a piece of vein quartz. Looks really nice, pretty big. So, the vein's at least a foot wide, I'd say. But this is our first indication here that we're onto something. And actually, now that I'm looking around, there's another piece right there. There's a little piece there. A couple more little pieces back up in here. So we're getting on the trail here. That's a pretty good piece. I might break this one open and take a look. Hard stuff, I'll tell you that. All right, so what I'm looking for here is any sort of mineralization, any sulfides, or some other indicator mineral in here. Oftentimes, the gold or the precious metals will hang out with other indicator minerals like pyrite or pyrrhotite, galena. I don't see a whole lot of stuff in this one, but this could have been laying out here for 1,000 years, and all that stuff could have been leached out. It gets weathered, and here it's real wet. It gets rained on all the time, and they oxidize out. But man, that's a good find there. I'm pretty excited now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to follow this. I'm just going to go uphill from here. This stuff came from up above me. So we'll just keep on going and see what we can find. One of the nicest things about all the rain is we got lots of water to drink. Well, there's uphill from me and there's snow. I guess it got pretty cold last night. And hopefully I don't get into any of that, because if I'm looking for white rock in the snow, that's going to be a pretty good challenge. Ooh, look at here. A little bit of nature's bounty, huh? Blueberries. Ooh, they're real sour. I think they've been froze on too, so they're kind of going mushy. Ooh. Oh yeah, those aren't real great. Okay, hold on, let me catch my breath. Okay, so we're up above the tree line now. You can see it's just rocks and talus and stuff behind me there. But I found this here. This little guy, a little piece of float, another piece of float, so that's a good sign. We're getting pretty close. We got to be, because I'm running out of walking area. There's cliffs a couple hundred feet above me, so this is on the map where it says it's supposed to be, and we got some float, so it's got to be above me somewhere. All right, guys, we found it. A jackpot right here. So I can do this in reverse, is the vein going right up there, right up around, losing it. There we go, right around that corner. It's a nice white quartz vein. It's, I don't know, anywhere from 1 to 2 feet. And it comes down here. I don't know if you see that, right here. All up there, all that quartz. And I followed the float uphill, and it led me right to the vein. All right, so we found our outcrop, and one of the first things that I like to do, well, the tendency is to just start hammering away on the vein and do a lot of hard work. But what I like to do is there's plenty of stuff just laying around that is naturally falling off the vein, and it's the same stuff. So a lot of times the surface is weathered, it's brown, you can't see anything. But one of the first things I like to do when I come and prospect a vein is to just take some of the float that's real close up near the vein and just break it open and see what it looks like. We're in a little bit of a precarious spot here. There's a cliff right here on the left side of me, and it goes way up on the right side as well, so I'm kind of perched here on this little shelf. But as long as I don't fall off, we should be fine. So I'm just going to start. I got my 3-pound hammer or 5-pound hammer, and I just start breaking stuff open and starting to look. It really helps if you can get it wet. I know a lot of places don't have water sitting around. But blowing off the surface always helps me. And again, like what we saw down below, what I'm looking for is some kind of indicator mineral. If I can see gold sitting right on the surface, that'd be awesome. But what I'm really looking for is some sort of sulfide mineral, something shiny that I can get excited about. And hopefully it hasn't been sitting here in the weather too long to oxidize all those minerals away. But I'm just going to start working this vein here a little bit and see what we can find. Well, the filming location here is a little bit difficult, but here's our vein, and I wanted to point out something on this spot, because when I'm high grading or when I'm prospecting, the first thing I look for is the indicator minerals. But then the other thing is, even though the gold is associated with this vein, it doesn't mean the gold spread evenly out throughout the vein. And almost universally, there are some real high-grade zones within the vein itself. And so if you can identify the high-grade areas and not have to worry about, breaking out the whole vein, that is really to your advantage. And so I'm looking at this vein here and I see, and you kind of got to use your imagination a little bit, but footwall's down here, hanging wall's up here, and there's this band of quartz, then there's this band of quartz, and then there's another little band right here along the hanging wall. And it kind of comes over here, you can see it. It's maybe kind of hard to see, but I'm going to look at those 3 different bands and try and break away some of the quartz from those 3 different areas. And if I can find, an indicator mineral or even some gold in one of those areas and not in the other 2, I'm gonna laser focus on that one zone. And because I got real limited time, real limited tools and stuff, so I wanna make the most bang for my buck. So let me see if I can set the camera up here and see if I can get some of this stuff out. But as you can see, I'm kind of hanging out over nothing here. So I'll try and get the shot as best I can. I haven't found anything in the float yet. Here is the quartz I just broke out of there. And see how it's kind of rusty? It's got rust stains on it. It's got, that's better looking stuff than the stuff that I was finding on the surface and as float. So this is just, there's a ton of it around. It's just white quartz, whereas this stuff is a little bit more iron stained, a little rustier. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about indicator stuff. And it seems to me that my eyes aren't as good as they once were. So it's a little bit harder to pick out what I'm looking for. I don't wear glasses yet, but apparently I might be shortly. But let me get this stuff kind of broken up, washed off, and we're kind of in a good zone here with the mineralization in this little band I'm working. I'm focusing right here on the hanging wall because it looks like that's where most of the, see that dark, kind of dark reddish brown stuff. But this lower band here is it's just white quartz. There's nothing exciting in it. There's no mineralization. It's just white. Fairly boring as far as the mineralogy is concerned. All right, I'm working on getting this big chunk out here. I've been striking out up here on the hanging wall. So if I can get this big old chunk out, I can get a full cross section of the vein. And we can look through the cross section of the vein. But first I gotta get it out. All right, well, we're chunking her out piece by piece here, I guess. I think. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, now we can actually take a look at pretty much the whole cross section of the vein and see what we got here. Okay, let me get you oriented here. We took this rock from there, and this face went up there. So here's the hanging wall up here, footwall down here, and you can see there's a section of vein, I don't know, a zone or an area where from the hanging wall down to about here, it looks like there's a zone, and then there's maybe all the way through, or maybe it separates here, but this is the footwall down here. And earlier I was talking about the hanging wall looked good and there was that section, but now down here the footwall is looking pretty interesting. I haven't been able to get to the footwall before, so let's work on this area here. Okay guys, jackpot, found some. Let's see if I can show you. It's right down there. There, see it flash? Oh yeah, we're in the gold now. So this is the footwall right here. And that gold is right, I mean, an inch, less than an inch from the wall. So I got it right from down under here on our big rock. And so I'm going to start concentrating right here along the footwall. I'm going to pry this big one out over here. And I'm just going to work this little band on the footwall here pretty good. All right, guys, pretty exciting stuff here. Can you see that big gold chunk sitting right there in the corner? Big old yellow piece sticking out of there. There you go, and I can kind of see it. Look at there. And this is a really good example. You know, there's the gold, and then there's this gray sulfide, probably pyrite, right there with it. So that is a nice little piece. And again, it came off the same spot, about half an inch from the footwall. So we found our rich zone in the vein, or a rich zone. And I was just looking at this piece some more. Here's that piece I just showed you with the gold here in the corner. But if you turn it over, there's a piece of gold right there at my thumb. See it flash? It's all dirty, but there's gold. There might even be some more gold right there too. So this spot is really, really rich. I mean, when you can find free gold just by knocking the quartz off, this is a really good spot. Well, don't hit your hand, it hurts. But we're breaking our rock up here and we're getting some really good stuff. There's a section down here. I don't know if you can see there. There's a piece of gold sticking out of the bottom of the rock. Right there. There's some in here. So I'm working on this corner here, seeing if I can get that exposed a little bit. Anything in here? We're up above the footwall quite a ways now in this section. And I don't see much of anything exciting, so I'm going to let this little piece go. Or put it back over there or something. Oh, there it goes. It seems like this real white bull quartz stuff just doesn't have anything in it. There's a few little vugs and stuff, little pockets of crystals. But I don't see really anything exciting in those. I really want to stay down here by the footwall. And so let's see if we can get this little chunk off. Whoa. Okay, don't go over. Don't go over the hill. So I'm going to break this guy up in smaller pieces. Oh yeah. There's some. This piece is loaded here. It's got gold all the way through here, around this side, and then on this fresh face, there's gold up in here even. Yeah, that's a good piece. Throw that in the bucket. We got another big rock here. I'm working along, again, that couple inches right above the footwall there. And I mean, almost every rock has gold in it. It's just amazing. I mean, I break one open and I'll see a little bit on the face. This is a pretty nice little piece here. But I mean, it is all laced through there. And you know, like this rock I broke open and there's gold in this half, and then on the other half of the rock there was gold too. So you know it's going through this one pretty good. And then when I broke it open, see all that shiny stuff in there? Holy cow, it's just loaded with gold all around that little pocket of black stuff. And it's on both sides. It's just loaded with gold. So I'm in the right spot. I'll have to take this back and crush some of the stuff up, see if we can get some more gold out of it than just what we can see on the surface. Well, we got our big rock busted apart right along here. Footwall, good stuff right here. and then junk above it. Everything above it's junk. And same thing here. You kind of got a line in the quartz, and everything from there down to the footwall seems to be pretty good. Has a lot of gold in it, and everything above it, junk. All right, so let me try this. I'm going to try and break the good stuff on the bottom off the junk stuff on the top. Let's see if I can film it and hammer and not fall off the cliff all at the same time. Well, that kind of worked. Got some separation there. Let's see what's in here. So this is where the gold will be, is in that piece. So we'll save that up there with our good pieces. All right, here's the spot we've been working. I'm going to work my way down along here in the footwall as well. And one of the important things when you're prospecting and stuff like this is, you know, don't get too hung up on getting in one spot and trying to find a bunch of gold and stuff. For me, I mean, yeah, I found some gold over here. I got a good little spot there that I found some, but I want to keep moving along and see if I can find some other stuff, or, you know, maybe I'm going to start looking in the hanging wall a little bit more here. So we're just going to keep moving along here and keep looking. I've got a pile of rocks here I'm going to take back with me. I got all the stuff in my hat. And so we'll have a pretty nice little take with us. All right, guys, well, that wraps it up for me today. The shadows are getting long, and it was a long hike up here. And even it's going to be a longer hike back because I got a pack full of rocks now. I have the sample here behind me of the quartz that I ended up getting. So the first thing we got to do here is I got our ore in the bucket, and we're going to take a weight on it. The blue bucket weighs 2 pounds, so we have 26 pounds of ore to start with. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to run them down this little 4-inch by 6-inch laboratory jaw crusher. It crushes down to about, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 3/8 minus. I know there's a lot of free gold in here and a lot of some really nice maybe specimen stuff. So I'm going to crush it into the drawer, spread it out on the table, and see if we can find anything that's really good, high-grade stuff that we can take out as samples, and then the rest we'll deal with some other way. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to screen him through a 1/4 inch screen. I don't want to get all the dust and all the junk out of there. There, now we can have our nice clean quartz we can kind of pick through on the table and get a look at it. Okay, so there's the stuff we're going to pick through, and there's kind of the fine stuff we'll just crush up and run through our table or a pan or something. Now in that other video I had some pretty nice specimens, and they all went through the crusher. So all the gold that I found up there, all those pieces are in here somewhere. Boy, this is kind of daunting here. It's kind of like a 3-dimensional puzzle. I want to look at all the sides, but I got a lot of volume to look through here. This is like the 10th rock I picked up. And right there, there's a little piece of gold sticking out of the corner of it. So hopefully I can find more of that stuff. All right, guys, I've hand-picked through some of this stuff, well, most of it. I didn't really know what to expect, but I'm disappointed there's not more visible gold in here. When I was up there on the hill and, you know, breaking open rocks, and I was figuring, you know, a rock this big that had a little bit of gold in the corner, there would be a lot more inside that rock. And so once I broke it down to the smaller size and had a lot more surface area to look at, I'd see a lot more gold. And that's really just not the case. I picked out a few little rocks here that have some gold on them, but I was hoping to get, you know, some big pieces, some nice specimen pieces of gold out of here, which I didn't. So here's a few pieces I did find. There's some gold there, a little bit of gold there, a little bit of gold on that corner. Some of it's hanging around with this gray mineral here, and some of it's just sticking out of the white quartz like that piece. And you know, this is probably the best piece I found as far as size. But you can see, I mean, just the huge volume of rock I have, and it's just, you know, I was hoping for a little bit better. But let's get this over and we'll crush it up and see what we can pan out of it. So one thing I just was thinking about while I was getting ready to pack the coarser stuff up is there may be some gold, or a lot of gold, that actually broke out of the rock when I crushed it and is in this fine stuff. This is the 1/4 inch minus stuff. So, I mean, you know, obviously some may have gotten knocked out of here, but not all of it. There's still, if this rock was really, really rich, you'd expect to see quite a bit of gold in the rocks, in the coarser stuff. So anyway, just hoping against hope that I can get a little more gold than what I see in the rocks there. Here's a piece that I took to one of my friends with a rock saw. And this is one of the higher grade pieces that I had. But I think I can get this. If I get it just right in the light, you can see all the gold. See those little specks of gold? Or maybe it's better to do it like this. But all that reflective stuff you're seeing there is all little pieces of gold. Here is our little vibrating tube mill we're going to use. And this is just literally a steel tube that's, I don't know, about 3 feet long, maybe 1 foot wide. You can see the inside of it there. And these are the steel balls we use. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the steel balls loaded into this chamber, and then I'll close this plate. I'll add the ore in down the top here and turn it on and just let it go. This one right now is set up as a closed system, so I'm just going to turn it on. It's going to shake for a while, and then I'll clean it all out. Here's our material I'm going to run. I'm going to keep it dry, and I'm not going to add any water because I found that it's a lot easier to clean out when the material is dry for this batch system I got it set up for now. We have tried it with rods in the past, but we found that the balls actually work a little bit better. So there's our charge of balls loaded in there, and when I put the cover on, it'll come up to about halfway, a little under a half maybe. All right, it's been half an hour. I'm just going to take the end off and we can take a look and see how much we got crushed here. Here's a look inside. And it looks like all the materials in the back there, it may have shifted. It may be tipping downhill that way, and it all runs down to that end. But I'll pull some out and we'll see what it looks like. Here's what this stuff looks like. It's kind of interesting. A lot of it's really, really fine, and then there's like some big rocks in there. There's a few little pebbles, but yeah, it's like it crushes a lot of it to super fine, and then it leaves some bigger stuff. I'll let it run another half an hour and we'll check on it again. Okay guys, it's been a little bit over an hour, and now all the material's on this side. So I don't know why it migrates back and forth in the mill like that, but it's over here now. So I'm going to start picking out these balls, and I got a little bucket here so we can gather all the material in the bucket and take it over and pan it. See what we got. This stuff is really funny. It's super, super finely powdered, and then a big rock. And there's no sand or anything. It's just like there's a bunch of super, super talcum powder stuff and then like big rocks in there. So I don't really know how that happens, if there's a little bit of the ore that got, you know, kind of like hidden in the bottom or over on the side or up against the end plate and didn't get crushed, but there's definitely some bigger stuff. So I'll have to go back and screen that stuff out, maybe through like an 1/8 inch or a 20 mesh screen or something. I'm just gonna do a quick and dirty pan on this stuff and see what we can get out of it. And then we'll run the tailings, my panning tailings, over on the shaker table. Hopefully hopefully once it stops raining. And we'll see what we can get out of the panning tailings. There's some nice gold. I want to see if that black stuff is magnetic. But we started with 26. I probably ended up only crushing about maybe 20 pounds worth of stuff. So that's gold from 20 pounds worth of ore. Not too bad. Here, we're going to use our old magnet in the bag trick here. There's some steel there. But I mean, I ran all those balls and I ran that vibrating mill for over an hour. And that's really not very much steel or magnetics coming off of there. There's a really nice little shiny piece of gold there. So that's pretty nice. Well, now what I want to do is take our panning tailings and run them on this 4x8 shaker table that we make. See if I can scavenge any gold from my panning tailings. So you can see here, there's a little bit at the end of the grooves, coming up this long groove. If we had more material, it'd keep working its way along and the gold would work its way up out this long groove down under the water bar and down into this is where the number 1 and the number 2 concentrates are. But I want to get out of the rain, so I'm just going to brush this down and get it in one of those cups, and then we'll pan it out. Okay, just to cover all our bases here, there's the little bit of rock that stayed as gravel. I'm going to run it down through this little disc mill here. All right, guys, well, I panned down the stuff that went through that little disc mill. And a couple exciting things here. Here's a piece. Pretty nice little piece there. And it went through the disc, so it's super flat. But, man, what I really wanted was to find something like that in the rock. That would have been a really nice specimen. I mean, it's been flattened out now, obviously, but that would have been a really nice little piece of gold to find sticking out of the quartz. Now I'll combine all our gold together. I'm going to take this little snuffer bottle. I'm going to suck out as much of the gold as I can get. Trying to keep it more or less clean. Now I take just a blue shop towel here. I'm going to take out my straw. Cap the end with my finger. Get it down to the bottom of that shop towel. And you just do that a couple times. Get all the gold out of there. Take your shop rag. Squeeze all the water out of it. And then we'll go put it in our cupelling furnace. So this here's a chunk of bismuth. So I'm going to add some bismuth in there, a couple pieces, maybe 10 or 20 grams. That'll alloy with our gold. And in our furnace, because bismuth is not a precious metal, we're going to get it up real hot and it's going to start oxidizing. And once the bismuth metal turns to bismuth oxide, the bismuth oxide will be absorbed by the cupel. The bismuth oxide is going to get sucked into here, and all the precious metals, the gold and the silver, they won't be absorbed into the cupel, so they'll stay as a little gold button on the surface. When the whole process is done, the gold button will be sitting there solid in the cupel, and the cupel will have turned kind of a dark gray or dark brown color from all the oxides. Right now we're burning off the rag there, all the carbon. And pretty soon we should see some silver liquid pouring out of the bottom of that rag. There it comes. That'll be the bismuth. All right, guys, let's check on our bead here. It's been in about half an hour, so it should be done. Yep, there it is. There we go. Get her cooled off in a little bit of water here. And there's our gold bead. It weighs 0.73 grams. So let's do some math. We'll figure out how many grams per ton that is. All right, so if you take our original 26 pounds that I hiked out, divide that by 2,000 pounds in a ton, that's how many tons you get. You take 0.73 grams, divide it by our tons,
Comes out to be about 56 grams per ton. So a little less than 2 ounces a ton, which is awesome. And today we're on a little prospecting adventure with my friend Dan Hurd.
Hello, everyone.
Dan, how you feeling so far?
It's a lot of hiking. It's a long ways up. There's no oxygen up here.
We're high. We're high in the Alpine North Cascades today. I'm going to take Dan over to a little spot I found last year. We're going to find some free gold and quartz. Here we go. Up the hill. The gold's always on the highest point, it seems like, huh?
Yep. Because all the easy stuff was recovered 100 years ago.
Yeah. They only left the hard stuff for us.
Yep. Hopefully the title of this video isn't Dan has a heart attack. Rest in peace, Dan Hurd.
Can you imagine prospecting this back 100 years ago?
We're doing it right now and I can't imagine it.
Yeah, I know.
And we drove 99% of the way up the hill.
We did. That we did. And we still have to go up. Dan made it up here. He's not dead yet.
Not yet.
And I don't know if we're still friends, but he's here with me. And he's going to get right into it. He's going after that quartz vein. I brought my little hammer drill here, roto hammer. And what I'm going to try and do is use some feather and wedges to break off chunks of that vein. Last time I was out with Dan at his ocean picture stone claim, he showed me these feather and wedges, and I thought they were pretty cool, so he brought me some. So thanks, Dan, for bringing me some feather and wedges.
You're welcome.
We're going to put them to good use here and see if we can get some quartz off this vein. All right, I'm going to run my feather and wedges down along this face and try and wedge this big chunk out. So I'm going to drill kind of perpendicular with the hanging wall here, put in 4 or 5 and see what we can break out. And now I'm going to take one of these feather and wedges. So I've got it right down at the bottom here, so I get the maximum amount of wedge. And then I put it in there like that. I make sure that I'm forcing it out, not this way. I don't want to go that way. I want to force it out towards me. And get it in there, so take some pressure. And I'll get the other 3 lined out, and then I'll just work my way down and see if we can break this off of here. All right, let's see if we can break these off of here. You're cracking.
I have converted Jason. He's now using feather and wedges.
I hear it cracking. It's working good.
Release the kraken.
Okay.
Love those great big cracks you hear.
Now what? Now I got
your chisel. Take your chisel, the crack right beside it, just hammer it down, it'll pop right out.
All right. I'll gather up all this fine stuff, bag it up, and then we'll go through this little pile of rocks I have here and see what we can see. But man, those feather and wedges, you can break a lot of rock real quick. Dan, how you feeling?
I feel great. I found some gold. I saw some gold. You brought it down to me. But I've seen some free milled gold, so I'm happy.
That's good. It's not as good a showing as I was hoping for today, but hey, gold is gold.
Gold is gold.
And we're still working. Right here along the footwall, I found some really good stuff. I just sent down to Dan for him to look through. I'm going to work around right in here and find some more. But you always want to be, if you don't find it in one spot, you got to move around a long strike and up and down across the vein. But it's in here. You just got to find the right sweet spot for it. But there, oh, is that better? There is some nice free milling gold sitting right in the quartz. If I move my thumb, these little pockets of this silver mineral are the indicator, and you can see the gold sitting right there next to it. We found some other ones, but this is the best one.
So that is what free gold in quartz looks like. Well, we're finishing up for the day. Found a little bit of gold, not as much as we would have hoped. I worked the vein, kind of a long strike here, and then up and down between the hanging wall and the footwall. We've got a little bit of a sample here in this bag that I'm going to try and take down if I can manage to carry it all the way down there. And I'll run that on through the hammer mill and shaker table and see how much gold we have. We'll do a little assay because one of my interests for this property is to get a helicopter up here and helicopter some of this stuff out of here, maybe 2 or 3 tons, and see if we can get a bulk sample and figure out how much gold it's running. Well, Dan, what do you think? Not as much gold as we hoped, but
I got to see some free milled gold on quartz. I'm happy.
There you go.
And you just said you had one bag to carry down. You didn't realize I have a bag for you to carry down.
You have one,
well.
yeah.
And it's so full, it's overflowing.
Oh, there's one hiding down there. I see how it is.
Yeah.
Good. Well, hey, I wanted to thank you for coming up. I appreciate it. And yeah, I hope we can
Thanks for bringing me up. This was fun. And you didn't kill me on the hike.
Yeah. Well, we got to go down still.
Yeah, they're still down.
But yeah, looking forward to doing more videos with you in the future.
Sounds good.
All right, we made it down the hill. Dan is still alive. I think we're still friends, even after that death hike I took him on.
He took it very slow for me, which is good.
And we got our bag of ore, so stay tuned for that on an upcoming video. But other than that, thank you, Dan, for coming along with us on our adventure.
Thank you for bringing me up here. It was a lot of fun.
All right, and thanks, viewers, for watching. Here's just a quick little shot of what I brought down. There's 12 kilograms here, so it's not a huge sample, but it's what I could pack out at the time. And it's a really clean ore. There's not hardly any sulfides in this stuff. It's mostly just gold and a little bit of a silver mineral that has been the indicator for us for finding gold. But we're gonna get this crushed up, so we'll run it through the system and see what we get. This is our 6x10 jaw crusher, and it takes about a 6 to 7 inch rock and crushes it down to about ½ inch minus. We'll do 1 to 3 tons an hour, and as you can see, it goes pretty quick on this little sample. Crushes it down nice and fine. Then we move over to the hammer mill, where I feed the crushed material into the hammer mill. The hammer mill will do about 1 ton per hour, and we add about 1 to 2 gallons per minute into the hammer mill to keep the dust down and make a really nice slurry. The bottom of the hammer mill has a screen that wraps 180 degrees around the bottom, and there's 20 high chrome hammers that pulverize the ore. Once the ore is pulverized to go through the 0.8 millimeter slotted screen, it comes out as a nice slurry down the orange chute, where it continues down into the aluminum distributor trough for the table. The gold and any other heavy sulfides will settle down into the grooves and work their way across the table. The gold and the densest minerals will work their way up out the long 4 grooves under the water bar, where they'll move down into the number 1 and number 2 concentrates. Any sulfides contained in the ore and liberated will work their way up to the end of the shorter grooves and form a fan that goes down into the number 3 concentrates, and all the water and gangue minerals will flow down into the number 4 tailings. The whole system takes about 8 to 10 US gallons a minute, and the water is continuously recirculated with these 2 pumps down here in the corner and up into the shaker table and the hammer mill. That sample ran quick because there just wasn't very much of it. And there's a little bit of copper, probably left over from the last run. But there's a couple little gold pieces there. Then the gold's starting to come out these top grooves. There's some. It works its way up this long groove. And then here's that silvery sulfide we have. That's the gold indicator. So we have a lot of that. And then the gold is bouncing its way right up here under the water bar. And it's working its way right down into the #1 concentrates. That silver sulfide or silver mineral is coming with it. #2 is pretty much quartz, a little bit of sulfides. But we'll get it brushed down, cleaned off, and get the stuff smelted. Well, here's our little bit of #1 concentrates. And most of that quartz got in there when I brushed down the table, and I brushed it all over into the #1. And then here's our #2, which is mostly quartz. Well, I've combined the #1 and #2 concentrates. And rather than smelting down all that quartz, I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm just going to pan it out down to where it's pretty much pure sulfides. Well, there's a little bit of gold in there. And remember, this is only from 12 kilograms, so it actually looks pretty good. And I'm also wondering if in this silver stuff, there may be gold and or silver that when we smelt it, it may come out in the button. Well, here's our mess of stuff in there. I added our concentrates, and then I added 25 grams of silica sand. I added 100 grams of soda ash. I added about 10 to 15 grams of potassium nitrate just as an oxidizer. I added about 30 grams of lead oxide as a collector metal, and then iron in there. So with these pieces here, iron to help reduce any base metals to metallic form from the sulfide form. And then the lead's going to collect all the metal, including the gold and silver, down at the bottom. We'll pour it in our cone mold here. Once it's all molten, the lead will go down to the bottom, and then we can flip it over, separate it from the slag, put it in our cupel furnace. First, we got to get this thing fired up, get it all molten. Well, let's have a look. I forgot that big spike was in there, and I dropped it in the slag. I don't know if you saw it in the video, but then I had to fish it out. So that's why the top of my slag's all buggered up like that. But hopefully the lead prill is still intact at the bottom. So let's see what happens here. That's a good sign. There we go. There's our lead. Let me weigh it, and then we'll put it in our cupel furnace. 28 grams. All right, we got our furnace going. Our cupel's in there. So our lead will melt and oxidize in the oxygen-rich environment in the furnace that we're going to make. And then those oxides will be absorbed by that cupel, and the precious metal bead will be left sitting in the cupel there. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, there's a nice little bead. So it's a little white in color, but it's still pretty yellow. Let's see if it changes when I cool it down some. Well, there it is. Nice little bead. There's probably some silver, and it's probably about 80% gold based on the color. But I bet, and I bet some of that came from that silver mineral in the pan. Let's see how much it weighs here. And just Put it on there like that. 0.68 grams. Nice. Let's do some math. All right, guys, here's our quick math. There's how much our bead weighed. I figured it's about 80% gold. So that's grams of gold in our 12 kilograms. 12 kilograms is 0.012 metric tons. So when you divide grams of gold divided by the number of metric tons, you get 45.3 grams per ton of gold. So that is really good. That's way over an ounce a ton. It's about an ounce and a third, ounce and a half, somewhere in there. So that is really encouraging. We're going to be working this quartz vein here behind me for some gold. We're going to try and take 2 or 3 tons off this mountainside. But it's a lot of work to knock the vein and knock ore off it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go after the float. And down on the talus slope here below me, there's tons and tons of quartz float laying down here that's broken off this exact vein, which is really, really rich. And so we're going to go along and pick up, bag up the quartz vein, the quartz float. And then the plan is we're going to get it flown out of here with a helicopter, process it through a jaw crusher, hammer mill, and shaker table, and see how rich this stuff is. Now we're looking down the hill here. There's my buddy Josh. He's come up to help me today. And it might be hard to tell from the camera, but there's white float laying all over this hillside. And it goes way over that way, and it goes way over this way. So we brought up a ton of these sandbags. We're going to fill them up like that with ore. Then I got to weigh them. I'm going to bring up some big super sacks, and we can fill them up with 500 pounds. And the helicopter can fly all this ore out. I'll load it on the truck and get it to the crusher. So we're sitting here debating whether it's going to be easier to work your way down collecting the ore or start at the bottom and work your way up. What do you guys think? Leave me a comment down below. But the first thing is we don't want to get hurt going down this thing because it's really steep. It might not be easy to tell from the camera, but it's pretty darn steep down there. We're going to fill up our sacks with the white rock, and we're going to stage them at different spots along the mountainside. And the helicopter can come pick them up and fly them over to a spot where they get them on the truck. Well, we're kind of developing our strategy here, going along picking up rocks. The white rocks are the good ones. I'm trying to keep about the size of a golf ball or bigger. It just doesn't make sense to pick up little tiny slivers. And then I'm trying to set my bucket, my bag bucket, in one spot and collect all around it. Josh is over there. He's kind of moving around. We're actually thinking side hill might be the best. Just work along the side rather than going up and down. 2 minutes, got half a bag. Well, I've been up here several times this spring and summer, and I've got little piles cached out here and here. One here. So I'm going to be grabbing those. Just don't want to fall off that cliff. Land on Josh down there. Well, I got all our little piles here, here, and up there all picked up. Got them staged down here in bags. 2, 4, 6, there's 8 bags there. Probably weigh an average of about 50 pounds each. So there's 400 pounds. And then Josh has been down here. He's got a couple, 3 or 4 bags going. So another 200. We're coming up on half a ton. It's not even lunchtime. We kind of tried to get them piled up. There's a couple, some individual ones. We pretty much cleared this whole talus right here. Josh has been kicking some down here into this little gully. He's been packing up into sacks. We're gonna make a big pile of sacks right there. But we've got this whole talus here to do, across over here, and then, you know, continue across that way. So we're not gonna get it all done today, but we've got a lot of ore here to get. Well, here's my situation. It's been about a week since Josh and I were up here. I got the helicopter coming in a couple days. So I had to hike up here and get all these sacks that Josh and I did into super sacks so the helicopter can fly them out. And as you can see behind me there, we're in the clouds today. It's raining. I just made it up to the mine. I'm just soaking wet. And I was trying to pack these bags up this hill, and it is just murder. I was hiking up through just fields covered in ripe blueberries. I haven't seen a bear yet, but this is prime bear country, and the blueberries are just perfect. Up here by myself, miles from anywhere, don't have cell service, don't have a gun, don't have bear spray, and I think all I brought for lunch is a few nuts. So hopefully this isn't the last you ever hear from me. All right, well, here's my plan. I'm gonna weigh these sacks, put them in this big white super sack here, fly them out with a helicopter. Uh-oh, that doesn't work. 35 pounds. All right, there's one. A lot of work. There you go, there's 350 pounds, and the bigger rocks I didn't want to waste a sandbag on, so I just load them in loose. So now I've got some down there, I got one up there, I've got a bunch up there. So I'll just go around and grab them, stage them in these sacks. I'm back up here at the vein, and then down the hill. Probably gonna have to bring these sacks up to this location to make my 500-pound bag. But if you ever wondered how clouds are formed, there you go. There's a baby cloud in action. And I don't know if you can tell, but right down here behind that cloud, there's a little bit of sun in the trees. So that usually means it's about to rain. So we'll see how it goes, but we'll get this little pile here loaded up, and that'll be our second stack. Okay, second bag, 475 pounds. Yeah, just another day at the office here. It's sunny down there and cloudy over there. Here's kind of an overview of what we're at. We got these two bags, one up there, and then one up there by the vein. And I have almost 2,000 pounds in those 4 sacks. So now I'll run over and load the 5th one, and we'll be good to go. Well, here's our last little pile. This is a big old chunk of vein that I got. And I don't know how much it weighs. I'm going to guess 200 pounds. So I'm just going to roll him into the bag. I've got these 4. I'll kind of top that one off here with a little bit more. But unfortunately, I've got one more bag way down there. Right there. And if you can't tell how steep that is, it's pretty much a cliff. There it goes. See that? This is a video all about Jason taking bags of rocks for a walk. Oh. All right, let's see if I can get this rock in that bag. Ah! Oh, I'm out here by myself making an idiot out of me. That was heavy. That might be 300 pounds. All right, we got our last bag full, so next shot should be the helicopter coming in. All right, guys, well, it's morning of the helicopter day. We got our little landing zone set up over here. So hopefully that works for him to drop the bags in for us. And then we're right here along the road, so we can just drive the truck over and load up the sacks once we get them dropped here. So hopefully this works. Let's go get those sacks off the mountain. I made these rope chokers, and I can slip them through the 4 eyes on the bag like this. And then I can go around another half a time and get it on the eye opposite the first one. And then when you get them all straightened out here, then you can hook both eyes up to the hook in the helicopter, and it'll lift the bag up nice and straight and even. And I've got 2 ropes instead of just 1. So that's our plan. Let's see if this works. Yes. Dude, that was awesome. Yeah. Well, we got our 5 bags. Now we got to get all that rock up on that truck. All right, guys. Well, we got our bags all loaded up. We're headed down the hill. Man, I hope these have some gold in them. Well, I am so excited to finally run this sample after 2 years in the making. We're gonna get some gold out of this stuff today. The crushing process starts here with one of our 6x10 jaw crushers. I'm gonna feed the material down through these jaws here. They're gonna fall through the crusher. Comes out about 1/2 inch minus into this bucket. Once I have 5 or 6 buckets crushed, I'll bring them over here to our 16x12 hammer mill. The material feeds in this orange chute here with a little bit of water to keep the dust down. This machine has a 0.8 millimeter screen that wraps all the way around the bottom of it. There's 20 swinging chrome hammers in there that crush up the ore until it'll pass that 0.8 millimeter screen. Once it passes the screen, it comes down this orange chute into the aluminum distributor trough onto our 4x8 shaker table. It'll feed out of the distributor trough fairly evenly across the table
and all the dense minerals and gold will fall into those grooves on the shaker tabletop. The shaker table will move the gold and other dense material across under the water bar, and the gold will make a fairly clean line down into the number 1 concentrates. We've built a ramp into the shaker table, and so the sulfides and the quartz will be able to climb the ramp in the grooves, but once they exit the grooves here, they'll form a band down into the number 3 middlings. Comes out in this blue bucket. And then the number 4 tailings will flow down into our new addition to the system. This is one of our spiral classifiers. And this works by having a water reservoir. And once the tailings fall into that water reservoir, the heavier, larger, coarser particles fall down through the water column. Everything that settles down to the bottom is augured up the trough and dewatered. And it will come out into this white super sack here. Where we can recrush these to liberate more gold if needed, or they can be dumped as tailings. We did it. We processed the whole batch. I pulled out 5 bags and a couple of big rocks to cut later. So I figured we processed right around 2,000 pounds. But we got it all into those 2 little buckets right there, the number 1 and number 2 concentrates. Well, that spiral just works so good. It pulls out all the coarse stuff, recycles the water. We've ran this water many, many times since I've been running today. So it really, really helps with the water recirculation. And then you can look over here in the bag. We have nice, dry tailings that I can move around now. I can reprocess. They're easy to store. And look here, look at the little tiny bit of water that seeped out of them. They come out of the spiral so dry. But I need your help on this one, guys. These tailings, I think, still have more gold. So I'm gonna pull out 5 batches of 25 pounds, put them on eBay for $1. And what I'm hoping you guys can do is process these down and then tell me how much gold I have left in the tailings. I'm gonna work on a machine to reprocess these down to a finer grind, and then we can compare notes. I've also pulled out some specimens I'm gonna cut up later. I think these are pretty high grade pieces. And so once I get them in the shop, we can take a look and I'll show you what I was looking for, and then we can get them cut up and see if we can find any gold in them. Well, here's our number 1 screened out. I got the water cleaned up a little bit. There is a huge pile of gold underneath that silver stuff. Here's a little teaser. There is it's significantly thick. It's probably hard to tell from the camera, but there's a pile of gold there. I think we may have paid off the helicopter and at least broke even on this crazy venture. Before we finish up with the number 1, I want to pan out the number 2 a little bit. And the interesting part is this ore was all oxidized. It's been laying on the surface for hundreds or maybe thousands of years. And so there wasn't many sulfides in it. So it should be pretty easy to pan down the number 2 here and see how much gold we got in the number 2. There should be very little. There'll be some free gold in here, but not very much. Here's the number 2 all panned out, and it looks like a lot of gold, but a lot of it's super, super fine, and it's not very thick. And there's also just a few larger pieces. I'm actually kind of surprised to see those larger pieces in there. But what I'd like to do now is I'm gonna pull out the gold from number 1 and the gold from number 2 separate and weigh them, and then we can figure out what percentage of gold went into each bucket. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my little snuffer bottle. I'm going to suck up as much clean gold as I can get, and that way I don't have to smelt all this junk. Well, I got as much gold out of there as I can. There's still a little bit of really, really fine stuff up here, but I'm not gonna worry about that. So this will go back in the panning tailings. There's our gold. I'm gonna dribble it into this blue cloth. And then we have our gold and a little bit of sulfides and some other junk. That'll come out in the cupelling process. Now I'm going to take some bismuth metal, metallic bismuth, put it in there with the gold and the other stuff. And the bismuth is going to oxidize, turn into bismuth oxide in the cupelling furnace, and take all the junk with it and just leave the precious metals. Now we have our gold and bismuth in here. We'll go put it in the cupelling furnace. Got our cupel all preheated here. Put our little gold packet right in there. I'll check back on it in a little while and see how much gold we have in the number 2s. I'll do the same thing with the number 1, and then we'll get a total for the amount of gold we got. While we wait for that to cupel, let's go over and cut some rocks. Here's the first rock we're going to try, and I like this one because it's got the hanging wall is right here, the foot wall, and we've been finding that gold right along this band. It's got some pretty distinct quartz bands there. All right, let's have a look here. Well, that's some interesting stuff there. Well, this is pretty cool. This is probably the best example I've ever seen of 2 generations of mineralization. You've got the white and red here. You've got the brown and gray down here. A very, very well-defined contact right along there. This is the stuff that I was looking for. That silver stuff right there. That's where I've been finding the gold associated. I don't see any on this piece. I've got it going to pull off another slab. We'll check the other piece, but just look at I mean, this is a beautiful example of 1 generation of quartz and mineralization, no sulfides, well, whatever this little gray thing is, and then just another generation of massive sulfides. That's probably pyrrhotite. The quartz is a different color. It's that orangey quartz, larger crystals it looks like up here. It's hard to tell from this one slab, but this is a prime example of 2 different generations of mineralization, and this one down here is typically what I look for when I'm looking for the gold. Here's a look on the outside, the weathered side. It's much harder to tell. This has the more sulfides, it's more rusty. This has the less second generation, but it's not nearly as well defined here where the contact is, if there's even 2 generations. But man, once you get it cut, it's just a beautiful example. Well, here's the next slab off that piece. Again, real defined, 2 generations. And then look right up here in the corner. It's not on the cut face. It's where the little rock chipped off right at the last of the cut on the blade. But there it is. This is the hanging or the footwall right here. The gold is, I don't know, what, 1/8 of an inch off the hanging wall. Right associated with those silver sulfides. There's a little bit more right there as well. Here's some nice stuff from the tile saw. It's too bad it's not sunny. But everything yellow there is gold. Here's the other face piece to it. Some nice gold in there. See, that silvery stuff is what you're looking for. That's what the gold hangs out with. But on the surface, I didn't see any free gold on this at all. But once you get it cut and you can see those sulfide faces, that's where the gold is. Look at this big boy we're putting in here. I think it'll cut. This is going to be a really cool piece, a big, huge stand-up. I'm not quite done, but here's a look at some of the stuff I've been cutting on the rock saw from the helicopter sample. Some really cool pieces. And then this stuff here with the gold in it. Pretty nice little haul. Oh, this is probably the best one so far. I've got gold here, gold up here. I cut it across this face, and
This gray kind of band right here has a bunch of little tiny gold in it. There's some right up here, some down in here, and then on this face there's some nice gold back up in here as well. I want to take a look at this nice piece here with the gold on it. I'm going to use this little microscope. I've used it in a lot of my other videos. Clips right onto your phone. It's really handy. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. Here's that face with the really good gold on it. Almost a little streak of gold there. There's some that's just hiding right inside the quartz. There's that nice piece. Look at all that gold. Fine gold, but it's all kind of bunched together in that little glob. And then there's some more. So this is a really nice piece. Really cool specimen. Here's that face I was saying doesn't have much gold. Now that I got the microscope going, there's just a little band of that silver mineral and gold. And there's just gold speckled all through it wherever that silver mineral is. See, there's some really fine pieces. There's some nice gold down in the quartz. But look at all the little tiny gold all around that silver mineral. Yeah, there's more of it. Man, oh man. So this guy is the winner. Really nice. This is that face that had all that little speckles of gold right up in here with these blobs of that silver stuff. Lots of gold around on this piece. Here's our number 2 button. Oh yeah. It's a nice little button. That's not bad actually. There's quite a bit of gold there. And there was such a small amount there compared to the number 1. I have high hopes. We got some really nice stuff in our number 1. Well, it's the moment of truth here. It cost me $4,000 to recover whatever's in this furnace. I figure I've got about $3,500 in the helicopter and $500 in fuel and rope and bags and stuff like that. At today's prices, $2,000 an ounce, I need about 60 grams of gold to break even. So let's see if I can do it here. Okay, let's see if I can get my reaction on camera here. I have not looked since I put it in. Oh, it's a big bead. It's a big button. It's all done. Yeah, that's a beauty. Look at that thing. It's hard to focus on it. And it's real hot. Oh yeah, buddy. Let's see how much that thing weighs. I don't know if that's 60 grams though. 2 ounces? That's, I don't know. We'll see. I have my doubts. There's our number 2 on the left, number 1 right here. Get it cooled off. Ooh, nice yellow color. There's our gold. It's so heavy. I cannot get over how dense it is. Okay, moment of truth. 60 grams. I can't read it. 65! Yes! 65.5, I think is what that says. Yes! So the total with both of them is 66.4. Not a bad haul. Well, that was an epic video, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I've got all kinds of stuff from this video on eBay. I'll put a direct link right up here so you can check it out if you're interested. And stay tuned because I've got a bunch more content coming up. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video.